New day, new goals, let's own it. Season 4, another episode. In this one, we traveled to Boston to meet her in her home. She is one of the most unapologetic, raw, authentic women leaders that I've ever had the opportunity to be able to meet. You may recognize her because her book has gone viral. It's known as the 5-Second Rule, and her book's in 36 languages across the world. She's got the #1 podcast on Audible. She's also the #1 female motivational speaker in the world. She's somebody that deeply, deeply cares about her audience, about her community. She's built an unbelievable empire, and she's really everything that I believe is the definition of a world-class leader. I can't wait. Let's go and meet up with the one, the only Mel Robbins. Mel, thank you so much for inviting me here. I mean, we're first of all, I'm so excited to meet you. This home is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for bringing us all, the whole Leaders Create Leaders community here. And most importantly, just thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. I truly admire who you are and how you show up, and just, this word authenticity gets thrown around a lot, especially from millennials, but you truly are the definition. You show up so unapologetic, so raw, and the way that you just integrate your real life and what you go through on a daily basis and with your family, and how the challenges that you've had to overcome, and really just open up about all of that to integrate into other people's lives and how they can then overcome what they're battling. And, I really believe that we need leaders more than ever before with what's going on with the world today, and to help them to end that suffering and have those real breakthroughs. And when I watch your content and I see what you've done and the way that you show up on stage, and and your book as well, international best-selling book, it's just absolutely crushed. Your philosophy, it's really remarkable. And also for the fact that I grew up with 2 amazing, strong sisters. I grew up with a really strong mother that I owe everything to. I talk about her on every stage that I go on. And I really admire you, also as a strong women leader for your family and for the world. So thank you so much for taking some time today to be on the show.
Wow, we're done. That was really awesome. I'm out. You just said it all. That was a really gracious thing to say. And thank you for coming. Thank you for coming out to the house. Thank you for being here. I know you just got back from Italy.
Yes.
And it's really great to talk to you.
Oh, cool.
So what do you want to know?
So, I really want to get
everybody. You've talked to most of the bros in the space.
Yeah, that's
so
why I'm
so curious to hear what you want to talk to the chick in the space about.
And I really want to get into your philosophy, because you as a teacher, I really admire, and when I listen to your content and the way that I see you coach individuals with your program, when you're on stage, off stage, behind the scenes, when you're just one-on-one, and I see the way that you show up for people, it's unreal, and I want to learn from you on how to become a better leader, how to become a better teacher. But I also want to learn that before you really discovered this philosophy and discovered how to become one of the most renowned motivational public speakers in the world, who was Mel Robbins beforehand? Because I think you actually you went through some career shifts, and how did this kind of evolve?
Where do you want to start? What age? Give me an age. Where do you want to start?
Okay, I guess I'll start around the teenage. I would say, what was it 18 years old? Mel graduating high school.
I was a total piece of shit.
Okay.
Are we allowed to swear on your show?
Yeah, hell
okay. Yeah. I was struggling with anxiety. I was ridiculously competitive, deeply insecure. Those 3, that trifecta is deadly. So very toxic human being. And I think a lot of it was an outgrowth of an incident when I was in 4th grade and I was molested by another kid. And it was not as traumatic of an incident as a lot of people have survived, but what happened, as I look back, I now understand my full psychology, but one of my fundamental philosophies is that most of us are dealing with some kind of internal conflict that we have never resolved because something happened to us when we were little, and we did something to survive it, and that survival mechanism, mine happened to be lying, but that survival mechanism worked when you were a kid. It worked to keep you safe. It worked to keep your abusive dad from not screaming at you. It worked to make people like you. But as you got older, you never updated that strategy. And so a lot of people that we serve, that I work with, whether they are the CEO of a publicly traded company or they are a kid just graduating from high school or hoping to graduate from high school, the number one thing that most people are dealing with is they're dealing with unresolved internal conflicts about shit that happened when they were a kid. And what happened to me when I was a kid is I had this incident happen where I was abused by another kid. Again, not as scary as what a lot of people deal with. And when I went downstairs in the morning after it happened, my mom was standing there and she turned to me and said, "Oh, hi, how did you sleep, honey?" And I saw out of the corner of my eye that the kid that had done it to me was sitting at the table. And I immediately said, "Fine." And that moment, right there, when I said fine, I made a decision not to say what happened because I didn't want her to get upset. I didn't want there to be a scene. I didn't want to get in trouble. I mean, this was like a fourth grader processing this. It solidified a strategy that I used literally until I was in my mid-30s. And that strategy was, don't tell the truth. Assess and say whatever it is that is going to kind of calm the waters or make people happy. And so I became somebody that literally was driven by looking around and making sure everything was okay and not wanting to upset people. And I was very competitive and outgoing, but it was not the kind of competitive and outgoing that I am today that's grounded in confidence and that's grounded in my values. It was a competitiveness and an outgoingness that was based in insecurity. I hated myself so much. I don't even know why. I think a lot of people struggle with self-loathing and self-doubt, but I hated myself so much that I literally just constantly tried to be a different person. And the competitiveness came from the fact that I thought to myself, boy, if I'm the leader, if I'm the one that's on top and I do the picking, then I'll never be in a position where I'm picked last. Like, you can either, if you're insecure, sit around and be nervous and worried that nobody's going to pick you, or you can pretend that you're confident and do the picking so that you can avoid that hurt and that breakdown. And so that was what I was like as an 18-year-old. I was president of my class, captain of the tennis team. I was go, riddled with anxiety. I mean, this is such a funny scene. Before any track meet or tennis match, there was this product. I don't even know if they sell it anymore, and I'd probably have PTSD if I saw it. It was called Milk of Malanta. Came in like a blue bottle, like the color of your high tops. I would chug a bottle of that stuff. It was like Pepto-Bismol paste to settle my nervous stomach.
Right.
When reality, I had anxiety. I had anxiety because I was a liar. I had anxiety because I had unresolved trauma from my childhood. I had anxiety because I didn't love myself. And I lived like that for a very long time. And, I also want to say something loud and clear. I had a really normal childhood, honestly. I mean, my parents were fantastic. They're still married. We just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. I didn't experience any child abuse. My parents didn't verbally abuse me. They were loving. I had a great relationship with my brother. I grew up in a very safe, middle, kind of class town in Western Michigan. I had the perfect childhood, but for that one incident that happened in fourth grade. And so if you look at that, there was no reason for me not to love myself, except for the fact that I taught myself not to.
Right.
I mean, it's just fascinating how we torture ourselves. And so, I was a high functioning, fucked up person for a long time. And it wasn't until I met my husband and I got into personal development and I started really investing in figuring myself out and learning how to love myself that my life turned around.
Wow. So
Were you
much.
expecting that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly what I would have hoped for. That's why I love you. Like, it's so just like raw and real. And I feel that a lot of us, including myself, we still have trouble like even digging down and remembering those stories, those moments, those things that have conditioned us when we were young. And I think still so many of us neglect those feelings.
Well, you want to know the secret? The secret to helping any human being. It's actually really simple. The secret is to ask somebody where they're in conflict internally. Like, what are the things that trigger you? What are the things that you complain about? What are the things that you're afraid of? That internal conflict holds the secret to solving everything and becoming a better person. And all you have to ask yourself, or ask somebody if you're coaching them, is what happened to you? Not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you that you believe you don't matter? What happened to you that you believe that you're not good enough? What happened to you that you believe that you're not worthy or that you won't be a success?
Right.
And everybody has a story. And here's the interesting thing. You don't have to find the first one. Because what happens in life is something happens to you, whether you are a victim of abuse or you simply are in a classroom and you raise your hand and you say the wrong answer in math class and everybody laughs. And then you're like, oh, my new strategy is I don't talk in class. My new strategy is I'm introverted and shy. That's my new strategy because I'm going to protect myself. And it works. It works because you don't raise your hand and then nobody laughs at you. But over time, you start to feel that sense of shit, like there's something more. Why am I not talking? Why is this? And so you start to have a conflict with that strategy. And so the thing that you'll see is that human beings repeat behavior. So if you ask somebody what happened to you that made you start to doubt yourself, they'll start to find 10 or 12 or 20 examples of it because it's everywhere. And when you finally start to address what happened, you can now have the self-awareness to create a new story, to start a new chapter, to see the old strategy and now consciously, you talk about consciously creating, consciously create a different response. That's what I do for people. I am helping people identify the internal conflicts that are making them miserable, that are ruining their relationships, that are destroying their self-esteem. And then once we highlight those, we pick a different strategy.
Right.
That's what we do. And, anybody can do it, any age.
So we're about to go into something that we've never covered on this show. And it's something I'm really interested in because I had this huge goal of building a family one day. I cannot wait to be a father. But until then, I'm all about learning from all these unbelievable leaders on how they apply their principles to parenting. So let's get right to it.
So my husband and I have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 13-year-old. And every day I see an example happen where I'm like, oh, there we go. I just screwed them up for life. I just told them no, and now they're upset and pissed off and crying, and now they're going to make that mean, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
What are some of the lessons that you do teach your kids that you've learned from the things that you teach on stage or from your book? Are there certain lessons that you pour into them?
Oh, yeah. So I haven't written a book about parenting, but I'm going to. I'm
definitely going to need that one day. One day.
I don't believe that you own your children, that you're in control of your children, that you are even above your children. I believe that parenting is one of the biggest responsibilities on the planet because what you're doing is you're raising an individual.
Yeah.
The idea of parenting is not to raise people that live in this house for the rest of their lives and turn out to be carbon copies of me and my husband, Chris. The idea is to raise individuals that grow up having the capability to discover who they are, to make decisions, to think critically, to have opinions, to be kind to people. And so it's a very difficult parenting philosophy because it means you're not dictating what's happening, you're guiding what's happening. Now, if something's dangerous, if it's destructive, if it's immoral, if it's illegal, I get final say. I tell you what to think and do. You live in my house, or our house, Chris and my house, and so you still have to make your bed, you still have to do your laundry, you still have to abide by the rules of the house. But we are teaching our kids to think for themselves. We're teaching them how to question authority. We're teaching them how to take responsibility for their actions. And so what happens is, just last night we had a major discussion with our 17-year-old because she's going to be a senior in high school.
Right.
We just got back from a family trip. Next week field hockey starts and school's off and senior year has begun. And this is the week for college applications.
Right.
Period. This is it. And she didn't want to spend all day, every day going into the library, sitting down and working on the things she needed to do. And we got into this back and forth because we have trained her to ask why. And we have trained her to state her opinion. And we have taught her to raise her voice and to question when things don't align with either her expectations or her values. Not entitled, just fully responsible for what she's doing, when she's doing it, and thinking through. And of course, we won the argument. And of course, she's sitting at the library right now. But having her go and explain to us, well, I don't want to be there all day because I haven't seen my friends all summer, because I've been working and because I've been a counselor, and this is the one. And that's a valid concern for an 18-year-old. So we went back and forth about the longer term issue and the fact that in life you have to make long-term decisions, which means you're going to be pissed off in the short term. And then we said to her, please tell us, what would you rather?
Right.
Would you rather spend this week and be with your friends and be a complete freak for the next 3 months because school started and you're not done with the most stressful thing you've ever done in your entire life, which is college applications? Or would you rather sit your ass at the library, get this done, and have the entire fall of your senior year to play with your friends, and you're the only kid that's not stressed out because your applications are done? You choose.
Right. Short-term pain for long-term pleasure.
But see, the choice was hers, but we had the conversation about cause and effect.
Yeah.
And most parents are like, don't do as I say, don't do as I do as I say, and then they show you a completely different example. And they also say, because I said so. And if you say, because I said so, you're not teaching your kids cause and effect. You're teaching them, I'm right, you're wrong. And that's why most kids are like this the second they get to college.
Yeah.
So we're about to get in with Mel, decision making, and her philosophy on how she makes decisions in her life. This is really important because literally your entire life is made up of decisions, right? And it all is what's gonna set you up for either success or failure. And at the end of the day, I'm a huge component of the 3 C's. Choices, chances, change. You have to make a choice to take a chance on your life or you're never gonna see a change. But we're gonna go deeper than that. Mel's gonna discuss what she calls outcome thinking, how she makes her choices, how she really decides if it's right or wrong for her. And it's something that I think you can really use as a framework to make some of the most important decisions in your life.
Yeah.
And the third takeaway is one of my biggest philosophies as a leader and just the way that I think. I am what I call an outcome thinker. So anytime I need to make a decision, I'm always thinking about the outcome. And the outcome is what guides me on what to do.
How much do you balance in making a decision, the outcome thinking and the, really like playing that out compared to your intuition?
Yeah, it's a great question. So any decision can be divided into what do I need to do versus how and when do I need to do it. For the what, that is intuition. And by intuition, I use the word energy. And the way to answer any question for yourself personally that you don't immediately know the answer to is to ask this question. Does it energize and expand my life, or does it shrink it? If it energizes and expands your life, the answer is hell yes. You should absolutely do it. That is what you should do. If the decision shrinks you or it deflates you, then the answer is hell no, you should not do it. This is an incredible tool to use in deal making, by the way, because I'm in the middle of negotiating a massive media deal at the moment, and it's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when you're negotiating for something you really want, whether it's somebody that you're dating or it's a salary or whatever, in my case it's a massive media deal, you can get really ego driven, right?
Right.
And you can start to get very attached to the deal or to the person or to the whatever. But you have to stop and ask yourself, is this deal or this person actually expanding and energizing me? Or are there aspects of it that deplete and shrink me? And if there's any aspect of it that depletes and shrinks, you either have to change that aspect of the deal or the relationship structure, or you have to say no. Period.
Right.
If you decide that, it energizes me and I really want to do it, then that's what you want. Next, you've got to think about the outcome, which is how and when you make it happen.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
At what point did you find your purpose? Because for me, I'm an entrepreneur for 15 years, and most of my career, I chased the money. I because of my upbringing, you talked a lot about how we were conditioned growing up, and I always felt I had something to prove to my dad. I always,
Was he really successful or why?
No, he wanted me to go to Princeton. He wanted me to be this smart kid. He wanted me to play basketball. He wanted me to, he worked at Prudential, and that was the first company I knew of, and he would just always talk about Prudential, and how successful that was, and how he wanted that for me. He wanted me to become successful. He wanted me to become highly educated. He wanted me to become the best in my class. He wanted me to make high honor roll.
And did you?
No.
Well, was it?
But I tried. I always was trying to prove.
Or was there a little bit of you resented the pressure, and so you acted out and didn't do it? Because clearly, come on, you founded Elite Daily.
Yeah.
Everything you invest in goes and is a huge success. You're a really smart guy when you want to put the fucking work in. Mm-hmm. And so there was an aspect about your personality that I already know that you don't like being told what to do.
Yes, for sure. Oh, forget it. If I feel like I'm put into a box, I'll freak out. I need that freedom, that flexibility, for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
And so one of the things for you to think about personally and as an entrepreneur is that your dad gave you the greatest gift in the world, because when you realize anytime that you're in a box that felt like what it was like to be with your dad, because he had aspirations for you that looked a certain way. This is not about making your dad right or wrong.
Right.
It's about what you respond to energetically as a human being.
Right.
No deal that you ever do and no relationship that you are ever in will ever work if you feel like somebody is setting the expectations for you. Full stop.
Yeah.
So it's not that, the new story for you, what happened is your dad had high aspirations, you didn't achieve them, so you, as a kid, started telling yourself a story that you got to prove something to your dad, right? What I'm here to tell you is the new chapter for you is recognizing that what you learned from your father is that you're successful when you define the expectations for yourself. But for your dad, you wouldn't have learned that.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It took me so long to realize that. I can't even tell you how many times I really felt I had to prove something to him because I didn't meet those other expectations. And I finally, I mean, it just took me to getting to my 30s to realize I don't have anything to prove, and that I define what success really is for me in my life and what makes me happy. And he loves me no matter what, both my parents do. And I'm blessed for the mentorship that he gave me as well as my mother. But I feel that in my early 20s, when I first felt that school wasn't for me and I decided to drop out my first semester, I went all in to trying to figure out the internet and the online business and all those things. I chased the money for a really, really long time, and I always was creative. I loved creating content and marketing and all those things, but I don't think I ever really thought about like my purpose. And I think that a lot of us in our 20s, we really don't. But I think now there's so much content on social media now.
I don't think you should. I honestly don't think you should. So here's the thing. I think you should chase what energizes you. Everyone talks about passion, legacy, purpose, blah, 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 blah. The one word to pay attention to is energy.
I love that.
That's it. Let's simplify this.
Okay.
So whatever energizes you, naturally expands you, feels like possibility, is exciting to do. It may be scary. That doesn't matter. It has to do with how it makes you feel.
Right.
When you were in your 20s, money made you feel good. It expanded you. It energized you. Chasing the money, that was the game. That was your passion. That was your There's nothing fucking wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And I particularly want to say that to the women that are watching.
Hell yeah.
Because it is socialized into women not to chase success like that, not to go after the money. And so if what energizes you is amassing wealth, go for it. But and the reason why I say that is because people talk about the word passion or purpose.
Right.
And the truth is, it's not a person, place, or a thing. It's not. It is the feeling of being expanded and energized.
Right.
If you're pursuing your passion, it means that you wake up every day and are energized. So instead of trying to think, what's my purpose? What's my passion? What's my purpose? What's my passion? Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking like that, I want you instead to ask yourself, what could I do today that would energize me? What energizes me? If it's making money, figure out how to make money.
Right.
If it is making a difference, figure out how to make a difference. It could be in any single shape or form. But if it energizes you, that's what you need to follow. And what happens is that passion also, because it's energy, it dissipates over time. Because when you first start making money, it's fucking thrilling.
Yeah.
Thrilling. There is nothing more exhilarating than making your first million.
Yeah.
Nothing more exhilarating. Yeah. But what happens is once you learn how to do something once, you can do it over and over again. And so it starts to become routine, which means it's no longer energizing.
Right.
Which is why every entrepreneur out there goes through the mode of chasing the money, and then you hit the money that you need to make, and then you're like, I'm not fulfilled. What's my purpose? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I went through that.
I need to find I did everybody does.
Yeah.
And it's because you were energized by the money, and now you're not.
Yeah.
Now you got to be energized by the next thing.
Yeah.
And for you, it's clearly service. It's clearly making a difference. It's empowering others. And so when I look back on my trajectory, the thing that energizes me is making people feel like they matter.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It is giving people hope in a situation where they don't have it. It is shining a light on the path forward when somebody feels stuck in darkness. And now that I know that those moments are the things that make me get up out of bed and energize me, I can trace back all the way to the moment of being a public defender in Manhattan, 22 years old, straight out of law school.
Yeah.
and defending a kid who, and I met him for the first time. He had been arrested. I met him during night court in New York City. I was a brand new young attorney, and this kid had been arrested, and he had been arrested for throwing a champagne bottle in the middle of Times Square on New Year's Eve, and it had come down on a woman and had sliced her face open.
Oh my God.
And he had been ID'd and pointed at by her friends as allegedly the kid who had done it. And he was a junior in high school. And he had gotten in trouble. I think he had like a juvie record for, like some petty bullshit shoplifting or something when he was 12, but that was it. High school kid on his way to go to junior college, mom working hard, terrified, absolutely terrified. And I met him because he had been arrested, and the family couldn't afford a lawyer, and I was a legal aid criminal defense attorney, and I was assigned to represent him. And I remember walking back into the cages behind the judge's bench, because if you look at a judge in a courtroom, there's two doors, typically, one to the right, one to the left. One of those doors leads to the hallway, which is what all the court officers and administrative workers walk to, that's behind the court system. The other one leads to cages that are behind the judge, which is where they hold the inmates as they're waiting to come in and get arraigned, or they're waiting, for the trial. And so I walked back there and I called out this kid's name, and I just remember him asking, is my mom out there? Is my mom out there? And I said, look, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna make you two promises. I'm gonna get you out of here tonight, and I'm gonna do everything I can to, because he was like, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. I swear to God, I didn't do it. And I promised him, I said, I'm gonna get you out of here tonight, and I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to clear your name. And I remember the relief in his face. And he said, you believe me? I said, of course I believe you.
Gave him hope.
Holy shit. That moment, my heart blew open. And it's those moments where you give somebody hope, where you show them the path forward, where you're stronger and clearer in that moment than they are, so now they can be.
Yeah.
And that's what I show up and do every single day. And I've only become more emboldened because we have a platform.
Yeah.
And what the platform on social media and on the speaking circuit, and now as an author whose work is in 36 languages.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and that's happened in 16 months. The book has been translated in 16.
And the podcast, I'm like, you got to #1, freaking like that, like lightning.
Well, yeah, we did. It's incredible. Behind that, I'm just thinking about what it took to get to #1 like that. It took 10 fucking years of schlepping and failing and being a public defender and doing other things. And so,
what was the shift? I'm really curious about what was the shift for you that went from criminal defense attorney to saying...
None of it was conscious. None of it was conscious. And that's why I say follow the energy.
Yeah.
Because if my husband hadn't gotten into a business school up in Boston, I'd still be in New York City making $19,000 a year as a legal aid attorney. That's what I'd be doing, because I loved being a fighter for people that didn't have people fighting for them. I loved that. And I still do that today.
Right.
The people that our audience are people who want to do better. It's people that want to be happier, people that want to do more for their families, people that want to pursue their dreams. And I am fighting. I'm fighting the bullshit for you.
Yeah.
I'm fighting your self-doubt. I'm fighting your anxiety. I'm fighting your excuses. I'm fighting the stories that you've had since childhood. And I show up every day to remind you of who you are.
Right.
And to remind you that you can do this if you put in the work, and if you give up your timeline, and if you're good to people, and if you're positive, and if you cheer for other people. And the fact that our platform has grown so fast and our engagement is so big makes me better at what I do, because we literally hear from 1,000 people a day who are either struggling or who have used some small thing that we've said and it has improved their lives or their relationships. And that makes me not feel
It gives you that energy.
It gives me energy. Thank you. It doesn't go here, it goes here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's also why I'm so intellectually curious, because if one 5-second rule tool can help the millions of people that it's helped, imagine if we keep going and digging and sharing other simple things.
Right.
Imagine the number of people that we can empower and help and encourage and help them make their own lives better.
One of the things I love about Mel is that she's not someone that just pulls things out of books and regurgitates things. Like, she literally takes time to do real research and provide like real techniques and real how-tos that are actually science-backed. But the one that changed her entire career, that has impacted millions of lives, is called the 5-second rule. So we're gonna get into the whole philosophy and how did she actually create the 5-second rule, and all about how it can be used in your personal life as well your business.
What I really admire getting towards talking about that 5-second rule is how it's you know, there's a lot of people that give advice, but you're the first that I love that, like, it's all science backed. I mean, this isn't just something that you whipped up and, you know, decided to kind of just create from a branding perspective. I mean, there's obviously, it's amazing how you branded yourself and how you branded the 5-second rule, but I love how it is all science backed. A lot of the philosophy, a lot of the techniques.
Everything we talk about has to be proven.
Right.
Everything.
I love that.
I don't give you some bullshit I've read in a book or something that I've read on Instagram. The only things that we share are things that are backed by science, that have been researched, that we have seen working in our own lives, that we see working for our audience. And I think that is critical, because let's face it, anybody can put up a inspirational quote, you know, that they've read from somebody else. Anybody can tell you to, you know, be positive or do this or put in the work or hustle or whatever the hell it may be. At the end of the day, it's just talk.
Yeah.
You have to know how.
Yeah.
And I also am, you know, somebody who is a little bit cynical. So, you know, I'm sort of embarrassed that I'm in self-help on some level, because it sounds stupid, right? You know, I mean, I come from, I'm older than you. I'm almost 50. Self-help had a really bad name 20 years ago. And I also am Ivy League lawyer. And I am an entrepreneur. There's a lot of bullshit. I mean, there's a lot of fake people out there
for sure. I
are renting houses and Ferraris and telling you if you use their ClickFunnels strategy or whatever strategy that you'll be rich like they are. And yeah, you may, and chase the money if it energizes you, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I agree.
And so if you're going to follow influencers and you're going to look to other people for advice, remember one thing. Would you actually trade lives with them? Would you actually want to do what they're doing with their life? And if the answer is yes, then listen.
Yes.
But then always come back and reflect on whether or not that advice feels true for you. And adjust it. Because the things that I'm saying, they work for me, and I know they work for millions of people. But they might not work for you based on your mental health, based on your financial situation, based on what's going on with your family. The timing might not be right. You might not be mentally capable of doing these things without professional help. So you have to be responsible for yourself. And that's the most important thing about personal development. We're here to inspire you and give you things to think about in the hopes that you will take them back into your lives and try them and figure out what works for you.
So let's get into that a little bit, because I think that's what I think you've done better than most. And let's get into the 5-second rule, because I feel our entire life is based off these choices. I had just posted about it today, and you know, you have this philosophy. Can you, for those that haven't read the book yet, and I want to get into how this integrates into both personal and into business. But what is the 5-second rule?
So the 5-second rule is a self-coaching tool. That's all that it is. And it's something that I invented literally 20 feet from here in my bedroom, although that bedroom wasn't built back then. we're in the new section of the house.
Love it.
The old section did not look like this. My husband, it was something that I invented to beat my habit of hitting the snooze button. And the way that it works is very simple. The moment that you need to do something and you can feel yourself hesitating and you can feel the excuses rolling in, count backwards to yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and something weird will happen. The moment you get to 1, you'll actually move. And I invented it by mistake. I invented it during, I think, the worst moment of my life, which was 2008. Chris and I, my husband of 22 years, we were about to lose everything.
Wow.
His restaurant business was going under. I had just been fired from a job, my first job in the media business. So I was just wallowing in self-doubt because I thought, boy, have I really screwed up. I had changed my career, taken a risk, gone into the media business. It didn't work out. I felt like a total loser. I felt like I made a big mistake. We had 3 children, mortgage to pay. The entire house had been used to leverage the business. So had our life savings, so had the kids' college savings. I mean, just on the verge of losing it all. Chris was sleeping on the couch, and I just couldn't get out of bed. And so I invented this thing, the 5-second rule, one night when I saw a rocket ship fly across a television screen at the end of a commercial, and it gave me this idea. And the idea was, I wonder if I launched myself out of bed so fast, I wonder if I could move fast enough that I could beat the self-doubt and anxiety that I felt every single morning when I would wake up. And it was really that dumb and that simple of an idea. And for whatever reason, when the alarm went off that next morning, what happened is what happens to all of us all day long. Inspiration strikes, so the alarm goes off, and use the alarm clock as a metaphor for those moments when you know you should do something. And the alarm goes off, and what's interesting is most of us don't have a problem with what we need to do. It's how we make ourselves do the shit that's hard. So the alarm went off, and immediately my mind woke up, and my mind started spinning, as our minds do.
Yeah.
And I started immediately thinking, like most of us do, when the alarm goes off, fuck, I don't want to get up. It's cold. I don't want to face the day. I'm unemployed. And then the body starts to kind of get a little tense when anxiety comes in, or you start to feel overwhelmed about the shit you got to deal with. And I felt myself reaching for the snooze alarm like I always did. But that morning I went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by the time I hit 1, I was standing up, and I was kind of freaked out because why would something so simple work? But I went on with my day. And I used it the next morning and the next morning and the next morning. And then I started to wonder, God, I see that it works as a cheat for the alarm clock, but I wonder if it could work for other things. So I started to use it for every moment in my life where I knew what to do, but I didn't feel like it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 literally just decimates any excuse that you have. And as I started to use it in my life to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not be an asshole to Chris. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, turn and walk away from the bourbon and not have a drink. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pick up the phone and network. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walk out the door and go to the gym. Everything changed because my decisions changed. And the thing that was interesting about that period of my life is that there were a couple things that is true for all of us that got revealed to me in that moment. And here's what's true for all of us. Number 1, our life is defined by our decisions. Number 2, most of us know what we should be doing.
Right.
Number 3, if you're in a situation where you should do something and the excuses roll in, you only have 5 fucking seconds before the excuses win.
Yeah.
That's it. And it has to do with how your brain is designed. And so I started seeing this 5-second window everywhere. Everywhere. You walk into a networking meeting and the 5-second window is right there because you look around and you see all these people you should talk to and you feel yourself freeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can start walking. If you're trying to sell something, the 5-second window is always there because you either have a phone you need to pick up and make a phone call, or you have a person you need to talk to, but instead of doing it, that 5-second window's right there and the excuses roll in, and then you're not doing it.
Yep.
And so
It's almost like we talk ourselves out of it, right? After 5 seconds, like, why not to do it?
Well, and then it's even more sophisticated than that, which is what I discovered. And what's more sophisticated about it is that you have two modes to your brain. You have the prefrontal cortex, which is the mode of your brain. It's the front part of your brain that does all your strategic planning, your decision making, not all your decision making, that's wrong. It does your intentional decision making, conscious decision making. It's what you're using when you're acting with courage. It's what you're using when you are learning anything new. If you've ever taken a standardized test, when you walk out of a standardized test, what do you have? You have a freaking headache because you've been using this part of your brain. That's the one part. The other part is the interior part of your brain, which automates everything. It's where self-doubt is. It's where habits are. It's where automated decision-making is. It's where every negative bullshit shit that we do, it's stuck right here. So what the 5-second rule is actually doing on a very sophisticated level is it's switching off this part and awakening the part that gives you control. And so the problem with our excuses, if you want to get into the brain science, is that if you start to think, and you start to think, I feel tired, or I don't want to, or I'm too stressed out, or now's not the right time, that becomes automatic and it gets encoded right here. So part of the problem with our excuses is that when you stop and think and hesitate, you trigger your brain to automatically talk you out of it. That's the problem. It's not the excuses, it's that your brain has done it over and over and now it takes over.
Right.
So I invented the world's most powerful cheat code for the brain. One night when I was drunk, sitting in my living room watching television. That's the story. And you know, I never intended to tell anybody. Never. Because it sounds dumb and I didn't know why it worked. And but I started using it, Chris started using it. One decision at a time, my life turned around. One decision at a time, his life and restaurant business turned around. We started Inspire 52 and sold it. I cold called my way into a radio audition, 54321, 54321, landed that. It became a syndicated show, 54321, and I'm doing the work to become better at radio, which requires you to listen to what you're doing, which sucks, having to hear yourself, 54321, 54321. CNN starts calling because I'm winning all these awards, and my life was cranking. I had my drinking
5
under
seconds
control.
at a time.
5 seconds at a time. And if you shrink it down to the 5-second decision that you need to make right now, and you don't get all worked up about what's going to happen a year from now, you can change your life. If you think about the 5-second decision you need to make right now to go to the gym, you can change your body. Yep. If you think about the 5-second decision about whether or not you're going to drink your face off with your friends tonight and blow $200 at the bar, or whether or not you're going to work on this dream that you have tonight, your whole life changes because of one decision. So the short version is I shared it in a TEDx talk. That talk went viral, has 14 million views.
15 million.
15?
Yeah.
Oh. And that was the first time I'd ever been on stage.
Wow, really?
Yep. That was a 21-minute long panic attack. If you look closely at the footage, I have a huge neck rash and I've got like all those raspberries on my neck. And by the way, you want to know something really crazy? The 5-second rule was not something I planned on sharing. I forgot how to end the speech. I was in such an acute state of panic that I forgot how I was supposed to end that talk.
Wow, and your confidence, like you jumped off stage, you're like walking through the crowd. I was
trying to escape.
Oh, wow.
And I literally was like, by the way, there's this thing I do. And that is what launched my business. Because that talk went viral, people started to call about speaking. I didn't even know there was a speaking industry.
Yeah.
I spoke for free for 2 years before even realizing I could get paid to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, by this point I was on CNN. I wasn't even thinking about doing a speaking thing.
Yeah.
And then people started to write.
Wow.
250,000 of them in 90 countries have written to us. Those are the people that emailed, by the way. That's not all the social media stuff. And so it became so overwhelming because I, of course, was answering all these emails.
Yeah.
Because if you were going to take the time to write,
I think when
to
you
me,
like try to create something, that's when it doesn't work. But then when you think, oh, this isn't going to be the thing that anyone cares about. This is stupid. It's 5 seconds. But it always ends up being that thing that we think is not going to be the one that
Right.
that relates.
That's
to
why you
everyone.
got to follow what energizes you.
Yeah.
People can smell a phony a million miles away.
Yep.
And what will make you successful is following the thing that naturally energizes you, because it's unique to you.
Yeah.
And when your energy is expansive, you will naturally attract people that want that same feeling.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. It doesn't feel that simple when you're stuck. I get that.
Yeah.
And I can sit here and say it's that simple, but I'm 20 some years into the trajectory of figuring it out.
Yeah.
But hell, I wish I had known this shit when I was 18.
Yeah.
I would have saved myself a world of hurt.
You know, so many of you have reached out to me, talking to me about how to solve your anxiety or your depression. And mental health awareness is so important to me, especially this season, talking about conscious creators. And Mel is somebody that I've really, truly respected, because she has helped so many people to heal themselves and solve their anxiety. Some of the most severe anxiety attacks and panic attacks that some of her fans have faced. Now, me personally, not only have I faced depression in my life, but most recently I've really suffered from anxiety. We're about to get into how Mel feels this is not a disease. This is not something that you can allow to control your life. You have a choice. You can overcome it. And we're gonna get into how she goes about solving this epidemic that we're all facing.
So when you first start using the 5-second rule, most people use it to get to the gym, to make sales calls, to get up on time, to have tough conversations, to do the physical stuff.
Yeah.
But the real mojo is to use it to rewire your mindset.
Okay.
And so if you're somebody that suffers from anxiety, first of all, here's what you need to know. It's not a disease. Period. It's not a disease. There are people that suffer from acute anxiety disorder. They should seek professional help. There's incredible medication that works. I'm talking to the people that suffer from more general anxiety that people feel in their day-to-day lives,
Right.
or that are brought on by a specific situation. I'm also speaking from specific personal experience, and the fact that we know of hundreds of thousands of people who've actually cured their anxiety
Right.
because of what I teach. So here's what you need to understand. Anxiety always begins with a worry. Always. It begins with a thought that is triggered by something. So if you suffer from anxiety, you wake up in the morning and your mind spins, you lay in bed at night and your mind spins, you walk into work and you feel anxious in your body. I want you to write down all the things that trigger you to feel anxious. Interestingly, another major trigger is being home or going home, and that moment right before your partner walks in the door. If you feel anxious when your partner's about to walk in, or you're about to walk into your own home, that is a major signal that you are in the wrong relationship, that there is something incredibly off, and you either need to get into counseling, but that is one that we hear a lot about.
Wow.
Because you're walking into a situation that feels uncertain.
Yeah.
A lot of people, by the way, had parents that were abusive or parents that were yellers. So they also are experiencing ghosts from the childhood
Yeah.
of it's 5 o'clock, dad's about to come home and pour a drink, and everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
So write down the triggers, okay? Because having kind of the triggers ahead of time will help you come up with a plan for how you're going to catch yourself when your mind defaults to the automatic ways that it thinks. Then what I want you to write down next to the trigger is, what exactly are you worried about? So having the trigger and then what do I worry about? I worry that my boss is going to yell. I worry that my partner's going to yell. I worry that I'm going to get in trouble. I worry that, my friends are going to laugh at me. I worry that I'm going to be whatever the fuck it may be. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write down what I call an anchor thought. An anchor thought is something that weighs you down and it makes you excited. And so here's how the strategy works with the 5-second rule. the next time you're in a situation, and let's just use the example of pulling into your own driveway or your own apartment, and maybe you've got issues with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your roommate, and that makes you unsettled. The second you pull in and you feel the trigger, you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I want to interrupt your mind from going into the fuck, I don't like, what if I, and then you're going to drop in the anchor thought of the last time that you and your roommate really got along well, or the last time that you stood up for yourself and it went fine. And
or your puppy.
Yeah, or a puppy or whatever. And you're going to say, I'm so excited to deal with this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get out of your car, even though your body is going to feel a little unsettled and your mind's going to race. Go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you start to be like, but what? And then walk in the door. And what I'm teaching you to do is to not let your mind hijack you.
Right.
And it's very important because there's a very tight nexus between your habit of worrying and spiraling your thoughts and the way your body starts to amp up. And so we want to settle your mind so we don't agitate your body. You got it?
Yeah.
And so if you start to practice that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and for you 18-year-olds that are watching this, use this with the nerves that you have about what you're going to do with your life. Use this when you catch yourself worrying about college applications, because worrying about the applications won't get them done. Worrying about what your friends are doing won't make it happen. Worrying about what you're going to be doing when you're 25 or how you're going to make money, it's not going to help you make money right now. It's only going to make you miserable.
Right.
So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut off that habit.
Yeah.
That'll stabilize your body, and then go to a vision of you at the age of 25, driving a car that you think is cool and hanging out with a friend that's cool and saying to yourself, I'm so excited because I know I'm going to figure it out. Because you don't need to worry about that shit right now.
Yeah.
But it becomes a habit that destroys your year this year. So you have a choice over what you think about.
Yeah.
We all do. And one of the interesting things back to parenting is I have drilled this into my kids. Drilled it into my kids. So much so that when I walk in here and I'm irritated or pissed off about something, because I'm a human being, my 13-year-old will go, you know, anger spreads. And I don't care what happened at work, but I don't want it on me. And you got a choice about what you think about anyway, Mom. And then he goes back to Fortnite. I'm like, I hope you don't win this round.
That's great.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's been awesome being here in Boston, going to Mel's home. I mean, she literally poured into us. And you know, honestly, she is the definition of a world-class leader. And at the end of the day, that's what I want for you. I want you to step up and to be world-class at what you do. I hope you start to integrate the 5-second rule into your life because it is so powerful. And make sure to comment and let Mel know that you appreciate her for just like really sharing with our community. Comment, let me know if there's anybody in particular you want to have on the show, and make sure to subscribe. And I hope you guys are enjoying season 4. It's your boy GA over and out. Till next time, peace. Guys, so if each one of these episodes resonates with you, the lifestyle, the impact, you know, just really like the whole model that all these entrepreneurs represent, it's something that I think, you know, really helps them stand as a world-class leader. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to give you guys some extra value other than just watching these episodes. So I created a report, and it's called The Map. It's basically a guide to give you and teach you how to create this influence, this impact, this income that a lot of the entrepreneurs and leaders that I bring on the show have. The MAP stands for monetizing your expertise, amplifying your message, and positioning your personal brand. It's free. All you guys got to do is click the link in the description and we'll email it to you free of charge. And it's something that I wish I had when I first became a creator. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching Leaders Create Leaders. Peace.